thank y'all for joining. I'm going to talk about iNaturalist and the City Nature Challenge, which starts at midnight tonight. And just a little bit about the Wildlife Alliance in general. So I'm the current president of the Concord Wildlife Alliance. So we're here in Concord, which is north of Charlotte, and we do lots of monthly programs. We have a couple pollinator gardens. We do a biannual stream cleanup, Kids in Nature Day, and a lot of other stuff. So I definitely recommend if you're in the area and looking to get involved with a wildlife group or someone who's doing like conservation, that's exactly what we do, and we would love to have you. So check us out, ConcordWildlifeAlliance.com, and we're on Facebook as well. I run our Facebook page, so feel free to follow us there. And just to go ahead and jump in, a couple of terms that are around the City Nature Challenge are citizen science. So some people may wonder, like, what is that? So basically, it's just like the technical definition is a partnership between the public and professional researchers to answer scientific questions. So this is exactly what iNaturalist does. They have people in the public, like us, upload our observations, and then researchers will go on there and pull the data, and it can really help them answer scientific questions. This could be things like about climate change or about the migration of certain animals or weather, and how those things may change or affect other things. An example of this is this plant up here in the top right. It is the first plant that's actually named after iNaturalist. So a researcher actually uploaded this to iNaturalist and was trying to get information from other people if they had seen this before, and they hadn't. So it went through the whole scientific process, and they named it after iNaturalist. So that's pretty cool. And then another fun example is how some scientists are using mountain goat molts through iNaturalist photos, and they're researching about how climate change may be affecting the timing of when these mountain goats are molting. So it's really cool. I mean, scientists can't be everywhere all the time, and so our photos from things like the City Nature Challenge can really help them track stuff like that. And as we go through, if you have questions, if you have the chat box, feel free to put stuff in there, and Tara will read them at the end, and I'll be glad to answer them. And if you don't have the chat box, we can do just like a Q&A at the end. So yeah. And then these are the other terms that get thrown around a lot during the City Nature Challenge, and sometimes you may not be familiar with them. So biodiversity is just the variety of life in the world or in a particular habitat or ecosystem. So basically what you're documenting through the City Nature Challenge is the biodiversity in your particular area, which is really cool. It gives scientists or anyone that is interested in this data, it gives them a snapshot into the ecosystem of a particular area. So for like us, it would be the Charlotte metro region, and they could just pull all of that data at one time and see like what's going on around here. And then what the City Nature Challenge actually is a BioBlitz. So people go out, take a bunch of photos all at one time, and then it attempts to record everything within a designated area. So for the entire City Nature Challenge, that's the entire world. But for our Charlotte metro region or another region of North Carolina you may be in, that's what it's for. So what is iNaturalist? It can be an app on your phone, or it may be a web browser on your computer. And it's a great way to upload photo. You can upload photos, you can upload sounds, or just general observations that you may see. You upload those onto the web, and it is able to be seen by other people all around the world. So there's so many reasons to use iNaturalist. I use it almost every single day. a good reason is just to share your nature photos. Maybe your Facebook friends are tired of you sharing a lot of photos of plants or animals, and you want to share them with people who actually want to see them. So that's a fun way to use iNaturalist, and some people do use it as a social media type app and comment on other people's photos. Another cool thing that you can do, which I never thought of it this way, but it keeps a record of species you've seen. So like if you have a list of birds that you want to see, like your goal list, you can keep a record of that through iNaturalist, and then you're also helping document data about those birds. The biggest reason I think people use iNaturalist is to identify species that you don't know. So this could be it could even be stuff you do know, you just want to document where you saw it. But that's the great part about iNaturalist. It has like a web-based recognition system that will help you, give you clues to help you get a starting point to identify things that you may not know. A reason we do the BioBlitz of City Nature Challenge is to gather data for scientists and natural resource groups. So it gets people excited, gets people out using the app, and hopefully they'll use it throughout the year and build onto this database. Surveying sites and getting an inventory of species is another cool thing you can do through iNaturalist. So I work at a park in Salisbury, and I'm probably going to start, after the City Nature Challenge, I'm going to start a survey to try to get an inventory of things that people see around the park. So I see a lot of insects in my day-to-day job at the park, but I would really like to see, you know, what other people may be seeing. So you can just set that up. You can make a boundary of an area that you want to survey, and then it'll just automatically grab any observation that's documented in that location, which is a really cool feature. And you can do that yourself. So you can create your own citizen science project, whether you're a school teacher or you work at a park or you're just interested in a particular area. You can set that up through iNaturalist. You can help others. So we were talking before this about I got really distracted when I was researching for this presentation, and I was on iNaturalist just helping others confirm their identifications. And if you're interested in plants or animals, it's a really nice way to, you know, help someone out that may not be as familiar as you are with something. Another feature that I did not really use in the past, but I definitely use now, is looking for a particular species. So you can search on the website or on your app on your phone. You can search, like if you wanted to see a spotted salamander, you can type that in and it will bring up where other people have seen them. So it may give you an idea of a park or a natural area that you could go and search for something that you would like to see. So how can you use it? You can download the mobile app, or you can upload photos on your laptop or computer through a web browser. It makes it really simple to do it. I mean, both ways are pretty easy, but if you wanted to do multiple photos, the online web browser is definitely the way to go. Either way, you have to make a free account to upload these photos. That's very simple. I mean, I think most websites make you make an account anyways. So that's just like the step one to using either one. So using a camera and then uploading it on the website, or using photos from your phone through your web browser. There's some pros and cons to both sides. So the camera, you can upload multiple photos at once. Usually if you're using a standalone camera, you're going to get a better photo quality, which could be really important for things like insects or fast-moving birds or animals. And it can help people ID it better. And then another feature of uploading it through the web browser is you can search for the location where you took them. So it actually uses Google Maps and will let you, like, it uses Google Maps through iNaturalist. And so if you were at a park, you can search for that park and then you can zoom in really quickly and get the location really fast. The cons are you have to remember to go back and add your observations. So for something like the City Nature Challenge, if you really want your observations to count, you have to do it within the time frame. So we have from midnight tonight until Monday at midnight to do that. And another con is if you have a camera that doesn't automatically record the date and time, you have to do that manually. And sometimes that can be a little confusing if you wait a long time to upload your photos. So for your phone, I think this is how most people use it, a phone or a tablet, and it is really useful. So you take the photo in the app and the location automatically populates. You don't have to zoom in or search for the location where you took your photo. However, that's only if you take the photo in the app. If you're trying to do photos from your camera roll, it's a little more tricky. And I have that under the cons. You have to pinch and zoom into the location. You can't search for it like you do on the web browser, which is a little bit frustrating. Another pro of using your phone is it gives you instant ID suggestions. So like for me at my work, I like to use this. If I don't know what a plant is, it will give me instant ID suggestions, and then I can look for it in other places or decide if I want to remove that. Something that's kind of hard in your phone in the app is the camera limitations. So if it's like a really tiny insect or if it's a bird that's sitting and I'm trying to take a picture and then it flies away, that can be a little bit frustrating. And then the other thing is that each observation takes, like a minute to do because you're taking the photo, then you're clicking to see like what it may be, and then you have to upload your photo. So it does take a little bit more time than uploading it online. So pros and cons to both for sure. But the most important part is taking a good photo. So I put an example on here of taking one, especially for like trees and shrubs, is taking one up close and then one far away. So it's really helpful to see things, especially for someone who may be trying to identify what you're taking a photo of. It's really helpful if you include maybe even a leaf and then a limb and then the whole tree or shrub itself. So for this one, I think these are two really good photos. The only other thing that may be helpful in addition to these is taking a photo of the actual trunk so that someone who's really familiar with trees would be able to see the actual bark. But anyone who knows what this is could definitely ID it from these photos. Another good thing is to take multiple angles, and that's especially important for insects and birds because sometimes you need to see one particular part of an insect or a bird to positively ID it as a certain species. So including that in your observation definitely helps. And one thing that some people don't do on their photos and makes it very hard to ID is taking a clear photo. So on most phones, if you just tap the screen, it will like focus in on what you're trying to take a photo of. And making sure you do that is really helpful when someone's coming behind you and trying to say like, yes, that is what you thought it was. So now we'll jump into how to do, first I'll do how to add an observation online, and then I'll talk about how to add an observation through the app on your phone. So if you're doing an observation online, your home screen when you get on iNaturalist should look like this when you're on their website and after you're signed in. And you have a lot of different options here. You can look at your own profile, look at other people's observations, identify other people's observations, but for this, we're going to try to upload a photo. So you can go to Add Observations, or you can click Upload. If you're not on the home screen, this is always up there in the corner, the green upload. And so you can always add an observation no matter where you're at on the website. So once you click those, it will bring up the screen, and you just choose your files from your computer. And once you've selected your photos, they will show up here. So if you select like 30 or 40 photos, they're all going to pop up here. I think the limit is like 250 or something. You can do a lot at one time. But I don't like to do that because if your web browser crashes or something, you may lose all of that work you put in. So I just do a couple at a time because I do not trust my computer like that. So you can see that it says 1 out of 2. So I actually uploaded 2 photos at once, and you can just drag them together and it will add them into one observation, which is a really cool feature. So the first thing that I suggest doing is adding the location where you took the photo, because it helps the software identify it based on your location. So it'll say like seen nearby, and then that's helpful when you're trying to identify these things. So like I said, it uses Google for the locations when you're doing it online. And so you can go to locality notes, and like for me, I was at my park, so I would type in Hurley Park and it will bring you to this. It automatically populates like latitude, longitude, everything else. So you can move this red thing around to get a more precise location if you want, or you can just stick with that. If you're at your house, you could just type in your address, and then you can, if you're at your house, you may not want people to know that, so you can turn the geo privacy to obscured, and it will just put it in a random location somewhere else. So once you've chosen your location, you hit update observations, and then we'll go and click on species names. It takes you back to the home page. So when you click in there, it will give you sort of a suggestion here of what it thinks it may be. So I know it is a baptisia, but I don't really know exactly which one. So for stuff like that, I would recommend like broad is better for sure in iNaturalist, because people are going to come behind you and say like it's not this or it's this. And so the more broad you can be, it helps people come back and narrow it down. Whereas like if I started off saying like it is this species specifically, someone may jump over that and not ever look at it again. For this particular observation, I wasn't trying to identify the baptisia in general. There was actually a small fly on here, but since I didn't zoom into the photo, it didn't pick that up. So I went back and I zoomed in my photo and then re-uploaded it, like cropped it down where it was just on this one fly. And then it did give me a suggestion of like I think it was the order of fly that it was. And so that was helpful, and I'm just going to send it off and hope that someone who studies flies is going to come behind me and tell me what I saw, or maybe it will even be helpful to them in their research. So it kept my location, and I'm going to leave the location as public because it's at my park. I don't mind that people know that I was there. And then something that's really, really important for iNaturalist, and a lot of people do overlook this, especially when they're just looking to get something identified, is whether it was captive or cultivated. So if you have something growing in your garden, or if you're taking a photo of a house plant, or if it's like a domestic animal, you definitely want to click captive/cultivated because it lets people know that it's not something that's just out in the wild. And so since I was trying to identify this fly, I definitely was not holding it captive. I didn't grow it in my lab and set it free. So it's a wild animal. If it was the Baptisia, the plant that it originally suggested, I would definitely hit captive / cultivated because we planted that there and it's not wild. And another thing that's really important, that's why I have it in red, is to make sure that you have the correct date and time, especially if you want your observations to count towards the City Nature Challenge. So making sure that you have it within the time frame of the 30th through the 3rd. And the last thing you have to do is submit your observation. If you're submitting more than one observation, they'll all be here and it'll say more than one. So they'll all upload together and then you're done. So the next thing is to add an observation on your phone's app. So if you download the app and you sign in, this would be where it takes you to when you open it up. And it'll show you all of your past observations, and the little comment in red is telling me that someone came behind my observation and said, either made a comment about it or confirmed it or changed it even. So from there, we say we saw something cool, we want to observe it. So you'll hit the camera button, and it will give you some options. You can do no photo, and that would be where you would just record a sound or state that you saw an observation. You could do camera if you want to take a photo of something right then and there, or camera roll if you're just trying to upload something later. So for this, I did the exact same thing as I was showing you guys in the web browser. So when I uploaded the photo, I did it from my camera roll, so it did not automatically populate the location, but it did get the date and time. So since it came from my camera roll, it already had a date and time with it. So that's a nice thing. But then we have a couple other things we need to fill out. So location, and then what do we see, and then if it was captive or cultivated. So I suggest doing the location first. It's going to give you the most accurate guess through the software. And as I said before, if you don't have it automatically populated, you have to pinch and zoom on your phone down to where you want it. There's no searching when you're using the app. So from here, out in the South Atlantic Ocean, I had to zoom down into Hurley Park in Salisbury. So that can take a little bit of time. And a way to get around that is when you are adding your observation. I'll go back for 1 sec. So when you're at this screen, if you just take a photo in your camera, if you're in the same location where you were before, you want to take your photo through the camera, and it will automatically upload the area that you're at if you have that setting on. So as long as you are sharing your location through iNaturalist, it will automatically populate this as long as you do it through the camera. So since I didn't do it that way, I had to zoom in. So now I am here, and this is the location I want. So I just hit save, and it puts it in here for me. So we're good on that. We're good on the date and time. And then we need to review geoprivacy, and then what did we see? So this is something I really like about the app, is that even on here, I can go, I see all these options. I really like, if I didn't know what this was, you can click on this eye and it will give you more information and a couple more photos about the species that you're seeing. So if you kind of want to compare a few, you can definitely do it that way. Once you've decided which one you want to choose, you just click on that one, and So if I hit the eye, it will take you to this photo, and it gives you some information about what it is, where it's from, things like that. And then you can look through these photos up here. If you decide it's that, you can hit select, and it will select that one for you. Or if you want to look at some other options, just hit back, and it will take you back to this screen. So I decided it was Baptisia. And so we're good there. We're good on the date and time still, and it still has our location. So the only thing we need to choose now is whether it's captive or cultivated. And this is a really important step. I think it's kind of overlooked a bit, especially because, like, if someone's pulling all the data out, they don't know whether yours was captivated or cultivated or not. And that could be really important for someone who may be researching invasive species. And if you have that planted in your garden, they don't know that when they're looking at the data. And so since it is cultivated in a garden, I'm going to put that it is captive. And now we are good to upload our observation. So you just hit done here, and that is not the last step though, because it will take it a minute to upload. So especially if you have the data turned like where it will not automatically upload your observations, like if you're out in the field and you don't have a lot of data through your phone's data plan and you just want to upload them when you have Wi-Fi, that is a great feature, but you have to remember to go back and upload them. So all you have to do for that is just hit this green upload, and it will upload them all to the iNaturalist server. And from there, people can see them and things like that. Until you upload them, they're just sitting on your phone, so no one else can see them, and they're not recorded until you upload them. And once they're uploaded, they'll be white like you see here, and if they're not uploaded, they'll be green and with the little cloud ready to be uploaded to the data server. So are there any questions about uploading an observation? I have a couple more slides after this, but I wanted to just see if I could answer them before we moved on.
We do have a question, but it's not specifically about uploading. Do you still want to hear it, Sarina?
Do you want to just save it till the end?
Yep, all good.
I might answer it in the next couple because they're about the City Nature Challenge.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we talked about iNaturalist and we talked about things about iNaturalist, but what is the City Nature Challenge? So it is going to go on this year from April 30th to May 4th. So it starts at midnight tonight and ends at midnight on Monday. And then from May 4th to May 9th, people all across the world are going to be looking through the observations, trying to identify them. And then the actual winner of the City Nature Challenge would be announced on May 10th. So when you upload an observation to this, whether or not it gets identified down to the species, it still counts, which I think is a really cool feature, because no matter what, the data is still there, even if someone doesn't identify it between May 4th and May 9th. Last year during COVID, I think it's really cool that 244 cities still took part. So you can see people participate this all through the globe. And it was started back in 2016, and that was just between 2 cities. So since 2017, it's grown this much, and I think that's a really awesome way to collect data. So because of COVID, they were not ranked. It wasn't technically a challenge, but they still encouraged people to go outside and take photos and upload them. And over 41,000 people participated, which is so cool. I hope that number doubles or even triples this year. We'll see what happens. The Charlotte metro region last year, even though there were no in-person activities, we still had 286 people participate that made 1,800 observations. which is great numbers considering that nothing was in person. So I was glad people got outside and did that. I did want to mention that, you know, this through the City Nature Challenge and iNaturalist in general, people find rare and endangered species all the time. So that really helps researchers who are looking for these species of plants or animals, and it helps them find where they're at and, you know, do things to protect them and protect their habitats. So your observations are not just going into the ether. People do look through them, especially if it's something that they are interested in. So I pulled this off the iNaturalist website yesterday, and they don't give you like a total number of people who are participating this year, but these are all the places that are participating. There's a ton of people in the United States, of course, but there's like more than I thought would be down in South America. That is really cool, especially after I learned about the Mexican species that was named after iNaturalist. So it really is making a difference, especially places that have a high biodiversity, getting people out and documenting things like that. So if you want to learn more about the North Carolina City Nature Challenge and where your county lands on that, someone has made a website, which is really great. It's called NCCityNatureChallenge.com. So if you go there, you can find which region you're in. And this year in 2021, I think it's the first time, every county in North Carolina is counted towards one of the regions. So I know that Rowan County used to be in the Charlotte metro region, and I was really hoping it was because I was going to do a lot of observations in Rowan County, but it's actually in the North Carolina Piedmont region this year. So a couple of things may have changed, and you may just want to check it out and see which one you belong to, depending on where you're at in North Carolina. But every county is included, so no matter where you are, it's going to go to somebody's region and count towards that. So for the Charlotte metro region, which is where Concord is, these are all the counties that are included, which is quite a few. I think it was 13. I can't remember for sure, but yeah. And then like I said, Rowan County used to be in the Charlotte metro region, so this is Rowan County, and but now it is included in the Piedmont region, which goes up into the mountains. So I don't know who decided on that, but that's okay. Anyways, if you're on the NC City Nature Challenge website, you can find these maps. That's where I pulled them from. And it can help you figure out which region you're actually participating in. So once you find that out, you can go to the iNaturalist website and join their particular area. So like I looked up North Carolina Piedmont for the City Nature Challenge, and you can see like what other people are observing, and you can see who is observing, and then if you want to make sure your observations are getting counted, this is a great place to check. If you click on identifiers, you should see your username in there. Another cool thing that you can do is when you're on here, you can go through and look at other people's observations and say, you know, check them off if you know what they are. Yep, and that was just to say, like, you've chosen a particular area, and then you're looking for yourself in there. A question that I get a lot is about the Seek app. So it's an app that was created through iNaturalist. It does not store user data, so a lot of schools use it because it doesn't require you to log in, and it kind of treats your observations kind of like you're playing Pokemon Go, if you've played that. So it'll give you badges and like different like challenges and levels. So it's really cool for kids to get outside and use it and identify things in their yard. But unless you're on this app and logged in, your observations are not counting towards the City Nature Challenge. So I do have a few friends that use this instead of iNaturalist. But just know that, like, unless you're logged in through an account, it's not recording your data to the City Nature Challenge. But it is really fun. So if you have little kids in your life that like to play on phones, but you want them to go outside, you can point them towards the Seek app. And something I mentioned earlier is that you can create your own project within iNaturalist. So until the data is actually being used, it's kind of just sitting there. So I think it's really cool. You can go on here, you can make a collection project or an umbrella project, and it will automatically pull data from like any location that you want to choose. So if you wanted to see what kind of birds other people in your neighborhood are seeing, you can do that. If you wanted to do like a BioBlitz at your school, this would be like where you would set that up. And it's free to use, and the data automatically populates. You don't have to join a project anymore, which is really, really nice. It just pulls the data based on the location. And so if it's under your project area, it will just automatically populate in there. And then something else I think is fun on iNaturalist is if you are interested in a particular species, you can go to the Identify tab on the website and type in what you're looking for, or you can type in the place you're looking for it, and it will just bring up the observations. You can look at them, you can click on each one and it will take you to where that location is, or you can just like go through and validate other people's IDs of certain things. Or if you don't want to, if you're not interested in a particular species, you just want to see like what is in a park or a natural area, you can just type in that place and you can see what other people have shared through iNaturalist at that location. So, any questions?
We have one question. What would you consider the most exciting submission in previous challenges, and what was the future outcome?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't been on the like planning part of iNaturalist before, so I just looked through on my own. I love to see, my favorite observation I've seen recently is just like when I go on there and I see that someone didn't choose a particular species of plants, and I can identify it for them and help them figure it out, especially if it's something that looks like it's in their own yard. That's really exciting to me.
That is super fun. No, I totally love that too. I need some help on IDing things in my yard, Sarina, so I'll be posting those.
Upload them to iNaturalist.
Yep. Do we have any more questions from anyone? You can also raise your hand if you have a question with the little raise hand icon.
I will say too, like about the mountain goats and then the Mexican species, those were all on the iNaturalist website, so you can actually poke around on there and find how people are using the data in research, and whether it's just like seeing population locations, but there was even some that were like management organizations were using the data to figure out like how to best manage certain land spaces. So
that's super interesting. Yeah, if there's a rare one out there that people don't even know is there, and then it shows up on the iNat app, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We have a question. Chapel Hill isn't listed as a city in the 2021 challenge. Do we then enter the global challenge instead?
Yes, it will still count towards the global challenge, but Chapel Hill should be on there. I think it was, I'm gonna go back and
I
look.
think it's in the triangle one because I think there's there's a triangle one.
Every county in North Carolina is on there, so it's by county instead of by the city. So if you go to the NC City Nature Challenge website, you should be able to find it that way. Yep.
Good question, Anne. Do we have any other questions here? Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Madison. Okay, I mean, I don't think we have any more questions for the time being, but a question for you. What's your favorite find while you've been looking for things to take pictures of on iNaturalist?
Things just find me. And then I upload them to iNaturalist. But yesterday, I think I saw a green heron at my park. So I uploaded that, and hopefully that's what it was. Hopefully I got a good enough photo so someone can tell me if that's what it was. That's my most exciting one recently. Yeah.
That's a good one. And I saw a red fox too on your list there. That's a cool one. We have a question. What is projected to be the level of citizen involvement with iNaturalist going forward?
So it's totally citizen based, like it's all citizen science where people across the globe all the time are using it and uploading their photos of different things. So it's always available and you can always use it. The City Nature Challenge is mostly just to get people excited about it and out there uploading it. It's a BioBlitz. So yep.
That's great. And schools can take part too if they want, Sarina?
Yeah, for sure. That's why I mentioned the Seek thing, because I think a lot of them use that. You just have to make sure it's logged in or it doesn't get counted.
Awesome. Well, these were some great questions. Anyone else have any other pending questions for Sarina? Okay, well, I'm sure a few people will be able to use this tomorrow as they get started and then realize that they need to refresh on their iNaturalist skills as well. So
yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions on our Concord Wildlife Alliance Facebook page. So if you have anything, happy to answer.
One more came in. Is this only for flora or fauna? Not sure about lichen.
Yeah, you can upload anything. I guess I should have mentioned that. You can upload like scat, lichens, anything, any sign of life. Like I've done a couple animal tracks and it was very helpful with that as well.
That's super helpful. Thank you. And sounds too, right? Bird sounds.
Yes. Yep. Cool. I've never done that, but I've seen people uploading their sounds.
Yeah, I haven't done it either, but that's pretty cool. Well, thank you, Sarina. This was wonderful.
Yeah, thanks for all the questions.
Okay, thanks everyone. Have a great night.